Also, in light of my previous video about coming up in people's algorithm, it occurs to me that my videos could possibly be coming up in the algorithm for a younger demographic, let's say. I'm not so certain how interesting beyond some sort of slapstick humor level the young people would find, a fat guy sweating, going, oh man, was it a boxing thing? And believe me, it really kicked my butt today. I felt like I was going to throw up my intestines. I could taste my intestines. That's how much of a workout I had. That said, I do want to say something on the subject of the fighting sports. And I've had pretty much men, exclusively men, try to challenge me to some kind of street fight. And, I'm in my 40s. I'm not going out into a street fight. I'm not going to say that I have never gotten into any kind of fight per se, but it is something to try to avoid at all costs. And honestly, the greatest weapon is the mind, just as different martial arts, and I'm going to include boxing in that domain, as well as Aikido and Kung Fu, which are the three disciplines that I have any experience with, would teach you how to block punches, for instance. My Wing Chun Kung Fu gave me some aptitude at blocking some punches, believe it or not, and I was able to avoid a fight when someone was just trying to fight me and I couldn't stop them from swinging at me. But the best way to stop someone from swinging at you is your mind. For instance, I was able to stop an individual when a girlfriend at the time had crashed her car, and she called me and asked me to pick her up, and some random person seemed like they might have been inebriated or on drugs, is sort of what my spidey sense was telling me, had approached her and was making her uncomfortable and was asking a bunch of questions. And frankly, I just said to the individual, "Sir, you have a nice day." And however I said it, he responded in a sort of passive-aggressive way, I want to say, and backed up and said, "You have a nice day too." And we joked about it, but that's literally all I had to do to make the person back off. I didn't have to threaten him with violence. I just wished him a nice day. And however it was that I stood at that point in time, that is another thing that all the fighting sports will teach you, is how to stand on the ground. It's like the first principle, whether it's boxing, again, Wing Chun Kung Fu, I'm pretty sure karate, all of them do it. How to stand the ground. And, if you're doing comedy, for instance, how you stand will show how much confidence you have with the audience. Standing is an important thing, and dealing with confrontation and how you stand and how you present yourself is an important skill. And the body language, the full package, however it was that my mind and my instincts lined up at that moment in time, just wishing a person a nice day was a way to win a fight by not having a fight. So can't emphasize that enough. There are instances where people upset you, saying mean things. I was at a political event and I was talking to these teachers. I won't mention the high school that they taught at, because I'm sure other people are fine people from that school. The owner of the house taught at that school or teaches at that school, and he is a fine person, but the individuals I was talking to said something kind of snooty. I'd mentioned that I had taught algebra at the Hug High School for a couple years, and one of these teachers at this other high school in Reno, Nevada, said, "Oh, well, that was brave." And I thought it was a slightly racist comment, to be honest. And my spidey sense told me that that's really what they were hinting at. So what I did was I said, oh, well, I never taught at your school, but I mentioned another school in a much more affluent neighborhood and mentioned how that school has even more diversity. And I don't think this struck them as a non sequitur. I think they realized that I was really referencing their hidden racism, their subtle racism. And I was referring to how another school had even more diversity, and nobody thinks there's any problem with that school. And said, no, nothing brave about it one way or the other. Just another school. What was I going to do? Challenge these ladies to a fight? I don't think that would be very rational. I don't think feminism is a dirty word, but I think that would be rather silly if I threatened violence against some 50-year-old or 60-year-old women because they made a slightly racist comment about a school. And honestly, it was just my intuition and their inflection and their voice that made me feel that way. And, I think I handled the situation fine. Sometimes you have to just act in the moment, but again, your sense of humor is your greatest weapon as well as your mind. If you can avoid a fight, don't fight. Violence is not frequently the solution. Let's put it that way.